The rain came down in thin, cold lines that blurred the highway lights into streaks of gold and gray. In the tiny town of Brenton, tucked between forgotten gas stations and endless cornfields, stood Maggie's Diner, a place that smelled like burnt coffee, buttered toast, and quiet desperation. Inside, the flicker of a neon open sign cast a soft glow on the windows streaked by time. Maggie Turner, 27, wiped the counter with trembling hands, the same hands that had worked double shifts for nearly 5 years. Her eyes were tired, but not hopeless, just heavy with the kind of pain that doesn't need words. Maggie wasn't just working for herself. She was working for her little boy Charlie, 7 years old, a quiet kid with asthma who drew spaceships on napkins while his mom poured coffee for strangers. Every night, she'd tuck him into bed and whisper promises that she wasn't sure she could keep. "Mummy's gonna make it better, baby," she'd say. "One day soon, CTA find one." Before we dive deeper into Maggie's story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Exposed Tales for more powerful, real-life-inspired stories that move your heart and open your eyes. It was a Tuesday evening when the door chimed open and 5 men stepped inside. They looked rough, bikers with leather vests, muddy boots, and tattoos that told stories of roads few dared to travel. The room went quiet. Old customers at the counter shifted uncomfortably. The cook peeked through the kitchen window, his expression wary. The tallest of them, a man in his 40s with gray streaks in his beard and eyes like thunderclouds, scanned the place. Then, with surprising gentleness, he said, "Mom, are you still serving?" Maggie nodded, clutching her notepad. "Of course," she said. "What'll it be?" They ordered 5 plates of eggs, hash browns, and coffee. But when she brought the food, she noticed how the men stared at it, half grateful, half ashamed. One of them murmured to the leader, "We're short, Hawk. Maybe we should just go." Maggie froze, catching the words. Something inside her twisted. She saw the exhaustion on their faces, the kind she knew all too well. "Eat," she said softly, placing the plates down. "It's on me." The leader looked up sharply. "We can't take charity." Maggie smiled, though her heart thumped painfully. "It's not charity," she said. "It's a meal. Everyone deserves one of those." The men hesitated, but hunger won. They ate quietly, occasionally glancing her way as if trying to read her soul. When they finished, one of them stood to thank her. "You don't even know who we are," he said. "People see the jackets and they look away." "I don't care about jackets," she replied. "I just see people who needed a warm meal. That's enough." They left without another word, riding off into the storm. Maggie watched from the window. Her reflection ghosted against the glass. She didn't know why she'd done it, especially when her rent was overdue, and the power company had left another red notice on her door that morning. But sometimes kindness was all she had to give. 2 days later, the world turned upside down. It was early evening again, the same rain, the same hum of neon. Maggie was wiping down the counter when a deep rumble echoed in the distance. At first, she thought it was thunder, but it grew louder, stronger, like an approaching army. The windows began to shake. The lights flickered. She stepped outside, her apron fluttering in the wind, and froze. Hundreds of motorcycles filled the street, stretching as far as she could see. Engines roared like thunderclouds rolling across the earth. Men and women in leather, with patches that read Hell's Angels, filled the parking lot and sidewalks. It was a sight so surreal it stole her breath. The townspeople peeked through their curtains, terrified. But Maggie just stood there, soaked in rain and confusion. Then, from the sea of roaring bikes, one man stepped forward, the same gray, bearded leader from 2 nights before. "Hey, Maggie," he called, his voice booming through the storm. "We didn't forget." He walked up to her, handed her a folded envelope, and smiled. "You fed 5 broke bikers when you couldn't afford to feed yourself. We told the boys your story." He gestured behind him, and they wanted to help. Maggie opened the envelope. Inside was a check, so many zeros she thought it was a joke. I can't take this," she stammered, her hands trembling. He shook his head. "You didn't ask for payment, sweetheart. You gave from the heart. This is the world giving back." The crowd behind him revved their engines, cheering. One of them yelled, "For Maggie," and the roar that followed shook the ground. Maggie's eyes filled with tears. The man placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You reminded a lot of us what decency looks like," he said. "We've seen darkness, but that night, you were light." The next morning, the diner was flooded. Not with bikers, but with reporters, townsfolk, and travelers who'd seen the video that one of the Hells Angels had posted online. It went viral overnight. Donations poured in. Her small diner turned into a symbol of compassion, but Maggie didn't let fame change her. She reopened her diner's second wing and named it the Free Plate Corner, a space where anyone down on their luck could eat, no questions asked. When people asked her why she did it, she always said the same thing: because someone, somewhere, once did the same for me. CTA fine too. If Maggie's story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Exposed Tales. Every story here reminds us that one act of kindness can echo louder than hate, and sometimes it only takes one good soul to change the world. One evening, long after the cameras stopped coming and life settled back into quiet normalcy, Maggie sat at her counter watching the sunset. Charlie, now healthy and smiling, colored next to her. The bell above the door jingled. She looked up, and there was Hawk again, with that same half-smile. "Just checking in," he said. "How's life treating you?" Maggie smiled warmly. "Better than I deserve." He nodded. "You earned every bit of it, darlin'." As the door closed behind him, Maggie looked out at the road that disappeared into the horizon. The same road that once brought her struggle and now salvation. She realized then that kindness doesn't come back in the same form you give it. It comes back multiplied, louder, and brighter, like 800 roaring engines reminding the world that goodness still exists. And in that quiet diner on a forgotten stretch of highway, Maggie Turner found something she thought she'd lost long ago: hope.